Nowadays, shipping small projects has become really easy, but agents start failing the moment the codebase grows large and gets multiple dependencies. The issue gets even worse if you are working with unconventional languages, where errors and issues become even harder to trace. What people miss is that you need to take proper steps before making the agents work on large codebases, and this is exactly what Anthropic talks about here. They cover how to actually handle projects when they scale. It was really insightful because these are things we ourselves have been using in our own projects and have found pretty helpful. Before we go into detail on how to set up a project at a large scale, let us first understand how the agents navigate around the code in general. There are two ways they do this. The first is RAG-based. This works by embedding the entire code base and retrieving the relevant chunks at query time. Based on your query, it runs a semantic search, which matches your query with the code in its database. From the similarity matches, it loads that specific context for the model to analyze and work ahead from. This might work for small-scale apps, but it does not sustain on large-scale ones. This is because there is a central database that maintains the data, and if there are a lot of files in the database, the semantic matching might be problematic. This is the reason coding agents hallucinate modules that no longer exist. Exactly because of its issues, the RAG-based approach has been completely replaced. The other type is file system-based navigation, which is what Claude Code and most other agents now use. This is similar to how software developers actually navigate. The agent uses bash tools, finds files with the ls command, then greps and narrows down to the exact code snippet it needs and loads that into context. Bash tools work because they do not pollute the context window with unnecessary snippets. So this mode handles all the ways RAG-based systems were failing, and almost all coding agents now navigate this way. The thing here is that no matter how models are improving on their own, the model alone does not determine how good the code you are able to produce will be. An even more important thing that matters when it comes to working systems is what harness you use for coding. So whichever tool you use, whether it is Claude Code, Codex, or Gemini CLI, the output you get is not solely defined by their powerful models. It also depends on the harness you combine with the model's capabilities. If the harness is weak and the model is strong, there is no point in the model being strong on its own. Now we know agents like Claude Code and Codex have strong inherent harnesses, but this does not mean you have to rely on those entirely. You need to set up a harness tailored to your project directly so it fits your project better. There are also open source harnesses like superpowers, and you can use any of those when you are building something. But when you are developing a large-scale project, these harnesses might not sustain, and you would need to set up your own anyway. Every agent harness you build on your own or pull from shared chats contains 5 pieces, centered on how Claude's jobs and agentic loops are configured environmentally. We will go through each. The first piece in the agent harness is the claude.md file, which is loaded at the start of the session and remains in memory for the entire session. This file is really important because it gives Claude the knowledge base for the code base. We have already done a separate video on how to write and structure a proper claude.md, which you can check out on the channel. When your code base grows large, claude.md becomes critical. If you do not spend time on it, your project is bound to fail at scale. This file is for project conventions, code base knowledge, and the do's and don'ts that apply across the entire code base, not just a single aspect. This might be fine if your code base is small, but it becomes a problem the moment you scale into multiple architectures. So stuffing every aspect of the code into one file is highly inefficient. It distracts the agent with information it does not need at the moment. That's why the claude.md should stay short, ideally around 300 lines. And if you are running a monorepo with multiple areas, each subdirectory should have its own claude.md following the same rules. The agent progressively loads it when working in that directory, so instead of pulling everything from the root file, it gets more focused instructions from the subrepo files. This file is not something you write once and rely on forever. We need to maintain it actively, not only as the project evolves, but also as model intelligence evolves. The principles applicable for Sonnet 4.5 will definitely not apply for Opus. Newer models are trained to overcome patterns that were failing in earlier instructions, so giving the same instructions to every model just wastes tokens. But before we move forwards, let's have a word by our sponsor, Clean My Mac. If you work with AI tools like we do, your Mac quietly piles up junk, old builds, cache, broken downloads, and you don't notice until it starts lagging. I run Clean My Mac every week and it frees up over 15 gigs in a single scan. That's it. One click and my Mac was brand new again. Clean My Mac is built by MacPaw, Apple notarized, and trusted by over 29 million people for 17 years. The cleanup feature removes over 20 types of junk so your system stays stays fast without babysitting it. Space Lens maps your drive visually so you know what's eating up space. It even scans your iCloud, Google Drive, and Dropbox locally for unsynced files wasting cloud storage. And it catches 99% of known malware through Moonlock so your Mac stays clean and secure. Your Mac should keep up with you, not the other way around. Use code AI Labs for 20% off and try Clean My Mac free for 7 days. Now, hooks are another important thing that helps when working with these large code bases. They are basically scripts that let the agent take specific actions based on certain conditions. There are many types of hooks you can configure, usually written as shell scripts that control the agent's behavior. For example, you can configure a session start hook, which loads the information you want at the start of each session, like which files Claude should load for context. You can also use a hook with exit code 2 and feed the error message back to Claude so it can iterate on that. Pre-tool use hooks are another type. Whenever the agent uses whichever tool you have configured the hook for, it runs your commands. You can use it to prevent Claude from editing files you do not want it to touch. But one of the most important hooks is the stop hook, which runs after a session ends. This pushes Claude to reflect on what has been done so far. From that, it can update the claude.md with the learnings from the session so the same issues do not happen again. You can also configure hooks for linting, running tests, and many other purposes. All of these strung together help a lot with large-scale code bases. Hooks force the agent to do things it should be careful about, where instructions in claude.md alone may not suffice. Instructions in claude.md can get blurred in the agent's attention span due to too many things to focus on, but hooks actually force Claude to act. The third piece in the workflow is skills. It is a set of skills.md files and other grouped files that load on demand instead of being present in every session and bloating it unnecessarily. Skills are important because they use progressive disclosure and are tailored to perform a specific specialized task needed for the workflow. They expand the agent's knowledge of something it is already capable of doing. If you put these instructions in claude.md, they just consume unnecessary tokens. Project-specific instructions should go into skills because they load only when the agent actually needs them. You can also scope skills to specific paths so they only activate in the relevant part of the code and do not bloat the context outside of that. For example, if you are working in the deployment area, you can specify the path of that directory in the skill description so the skill is never loaded when you are working elsewhere. To configure skills, you just invoke the skill creator that now comes built into Claude Code. Previously, you had to get it open source from GitHub, then you answer the questions it asks during the discussion session. You will have a skill tailored to your exact needs, which you can access once you restart the session. Aside from skills, you can also use plugins. Plugins are a bundle of skills, hooks, and MCPs, available as a single downloadable and distributable package. So whoever installs this plugin will have the exact same context and configurations made available for their use right away. So if you are working in a team, creating your own plugins to distribute to teammates becomes really important. If you set up all your configs in one place, that information can be distributed across the organization so your team members have the same context as you. You can do this by creating your own plugins and managing them by either manually uploading them or syncing with a GitHub repository. You can install any plugin using the plugin command, and you can browse the marketplace and install whichever one you want. You can also add other marketplaces using the add plugin marketplace command. Claude Code also comes bundled with multiple plugins like front-end design, code review, code simplifier, playwright, and others, all from the Claude official marketplace. You can use them directly in your workflow, and you can create your own as well. Plugins matter especially for large-scale projects because a lot of people work on the same project, and distributing context among them is important. So instead of making each person download skills and other components separately, they can install the plugin directly. Also, if you are enjoying our content, consider pressing the hype button because it helps us create more content like this and reach out to more people. Another thing that matters in agent harnesses but is not talked about enough is LSP. Language Server Protocol, or LSP, is basically an integration that gives the agent the same kind of navigation a developer has in an IDE. There is an LSP for almost any programming language, and it might be unnecessary with popular ones, but it becomes critical with unconventional ones. It gives the agent intelligence about the programming language so it can navigate the code base the way a human does. For example, when a human wants to find a function, they check where that function is imported from, go to that file, and check that file for the function's definition. That is how they actually find the exact source they need. Without LSP, the agent pattern matches based on text and is likely to land on the wrong symbol. As we mentioned, Claude Code uses the file system-based approach with bash commands. So without LSP, it is just pattern matching on file names and text, not navigating with deeper intelligence. Now, do not assume LSP is not needed just because your agent has not run into errors yet. Set up LSP even before you start working on the project. Configure it for all the languages you will use, even before writing any code, so the agent already has information on how to work with them. Instead of letting the agent guess patterns, installing LSP lets it read and edit code the way a developer thinks about it, not just as text. Now, as you already know, MCP is used to connect the agent to external tools, but you can also connect your MCPs to your project's internal tools, data sources, APIs, or other systems the agent otherwise cannot reach. For that, you need to create your own MCPs and make them available so people on your team can use them easily. MCPs are basically an extension to the existing setup, loaded whenever they are needed, and the tools they provide are then available for the agent to use. If you are working on a large codebase, you can build MCPs that serve many purposes, like acting as a documentation guide, retrieving analytics, or even letting you make changes through them. These are helpful because if you have your own codebase, you can let the agent naturally interact with internal information, call tools, and make changes there instead of fumbling through huge documentation. This gives the agent more direct access to the information and systems it needs. But to configure an MCP, the basic setup of the app needs to already be working. If you configure your MCP before that, things can go wrong and the MCP implementation may fail. So first, make sure your app is working properly, then create the MCP and let the agent interact with your project with more intelligence and better information. Another thing you need to create is subagents. Subagents contain isolated context windows of their own and do whichever task is delegated to them by the main orchestrator agent, then return only the final output to the parent. This is a key part of an agent harness because using subagents properly does not bloat the context window and makes context utilization much better, since they do not fill the main agent's context with information it does not need. Subagents only run when invoked and then return their findings. Claude spins off subagents on its own, but you can configure subagents yourself as well. You can configure whichever tools and models you want for them and provide instructions on how they should operate, creating specific agents for your own workflows. You can also override Claude's existing agents. For example, you can create your own agent whose instructions override existing ones like explore and provide a description on how it should navigate around your directory. Claude's own explore agent is generalized for all kinds of code bases, but if you configure your own, the custom one overrides the default. This gives the agent more context on how the files in your project are structured, so it does not waste tokens navigating files relying only on the information in claude.md. So you can make the main agent control the whole project execution and rely on subagents for the actual work. Subagents also help because you can parallelize their work through agent delegation, which makes the workflow much smoother and faster than doing everything sequentially. There are a few more practices you need to follow when navigating around a large codebase. This is important because Claude's ability to navigate a large codebase is determined by whether it is able to find the right context. So ensuring Claude gets the right context is important, so the agent does not get too little or too much and stays focused. Aside from separating the claude.md file, you need to separate tests for each subdirectory instead of having them all in one place. This way they stay segmented, avoid timeout issues when a lot of tests run at once, and can be scoped more effectively. You can also create a separate codebase map file that maps your project structure. If you are working with conventional apps like React or Next.js, you can skip this because the agents have been trained extensively on those. But with unconventional languages like C++, you need a codebase map. It acts as a table of contents for the agent, letting it know where each file lives instead of running a lot of bash commands to narrow down to the right one. Lastly, but most importantly, review your setup every few months as the model evolves. Remove the instructions, hooks, or anything else that the newer model no longer needs. Use .ignore files like .gitignore and .agentignore so the files you do not want the agent or version control to touch are left alone. This way your setup will be able to sustain on large-scale apps. Now the resources for this video can be found in AI Labs Pro for this video and for all our previous videos, from where you can download and use it for your own projects. If you found value in what we do and want to support the channel, this is the best way to do it. The link's in the description. That brings us to the end of this video. If you'd like to support the channel and help us keep making videos like this, you can do so by using the super thanks button below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.